What's going on tonight, yeah? So, I mean, it's a little bit of a late one. I had a little bit of a busy day today. Sorry about that. But I just want to give you a little bit of an offshoot video today. It's really no news, no opinion, I guess. It's really of an like I guess an observation, if you will, but also kind of like an answer to like maybe like to a question that some of you may have, like why does Batman not want to like work with people all the time, right? And I don't think you have to read any comics to understand that per se. I think like you could just watch a movie and be fine with it. Well, not let me not say be fine with it. Sorry. I think you could watch a movie and kind of understand why he's on the loner type. You know what I mean? Like he'll only work together with others when the world is in like, you know, like what's the word? Is in danger. You know what I mean? Like like what he did in the Justice League films, the Justice League series. I mean, he didn't form, the Justice League itself himself every time, but it's like he he was always working together with the League, with Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter. Because the world needed these guys to band together. But why does Batman work by himself? Why does he have a tendency to go at it and things alone? And like I said, I don't think you really need to read any comics to understand that. Like it's more on a surface character, thing. Like you can see it on the surface if you just look hard enough, you know what I mean? And I think he did it. I think there's an example in one of the DCAMU movies. So that's the animated movie universe. And I think it was the death of Superman or Justice League Dark. I think it was the death of Superman, but more or less, Green Lantern pulled up on Batman because Batman was running late to the meeting, and Green Lantern pulled up on him, pulled him out of his business because he thought Batman was better than everybody whole time. Batman's trying to find information about what the fuck the Scarecrow's doing, and Green Lantern stops the guy that he's chasing, ruffles him up, gives him to the police, and Batman's pretty much like, "Oh yeah, all right. So where's the Scarecrow toxin going? Who's shipping it?" He starts asking Hal Jordan mad questions about what's going on with Scarecrow. He's like, "Huh? What do you mean?" And he's pretty much like, There's a reason why I was chasing him. I wasn't getting after him yet. I was trying to find answers." And I mean, I feel like this is also why for those comic book readers that do read Batman comics, or like the guys that are just starting in getting into comics, they get into Batman and they know about the Justice League and know about Superman and all that shit, but they read all these Batman comics and there's quite a few things missing. The Justice League members, and there's quite a good reason for that. They tend to leave him alone because of the simple fact he gets antsy when not you guys, my bad, when they come in and just start doing shit, not knowing what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? Like, think about an Arkham Knight. Why didn't you see the Justice League in Arkham Knight? Because the Arkham Knight threatened to pretty much blow up the entire city. And what was it? I think he threatened to go after the hostages on the bus too if people were to come outside and infiltrate Gotham City from out or within, because they already confirmed that Superman and the Flash existed. So obviously the question gets proposed. Well, why don't Superman just come in and do something? Well, because the news probably already spread, and anybody that comes to Gotham City, this shit is getting blown the fuck up. And we know Arkham Knight was on business in that game, so yeah. But and this is the time, and this is a game where Batman didn't know the Justice League. He didn't get with them. He didn't fuck with them until after Arkham Knight. You know what I mean? So it kind of just goes to show that it's not even just that he prefers to be alone. He was always alone. You know what I mean? Like when Batman was first created, there was obviously no Justice League. It was just Batman. You know what I mean? Batman wasn't even on a team. He was always solo dolo. So that's part of the reason why it's like it's kind of to his character, if you will. Like for a long time, to be honest with you, when it came to Batman and DC, Batman stood alone, even though he was in the same universe to a degree, but at the same time he wasn't. Like it was considered a crossover when him and Superman, were in the same story. And again, these are guys that are living in the same world. They're living in two cities that are in the same timeline, the same world. You know what I mean? But yet Batman was just that much staying alone because of the fact that like his world, his lore, his mythos was just so different from everybody else's. So they tried to keep it special that way. And I mean, it worked for a while until it didn't. And then now it's like, all right, we went this long with him doing shit by himself. It's time for him to start crossing over, start doing shit with other people. You know what I mean? And then y'all know the fucking history, this, that, and third. Y'all don't need to read all them fucking books to understand Batman. You really don't. But the point of me bringing that up is that for a long time, this guy's been around for 80 to 85 years. For a long time, he's been a loner. So DC Comics, even the new guys, they're pretty finicky about changing that, like willy nilly, like just completely taking that out of his character because that's been a part of his character for so long. Like even if he's working, like even if he's on the Justice League, right, and like he'll you know go with them approaching into situations, he'll find his own way on the battlefield or in the building, whatever what fucking case may be, because there's always an ulterior motive that he has when it comes to battlefield strategics. He's just better when he works alone. He can't, it's not that he can't, it's just that it's too much work trying to coordinate an entire fucking team while also planning your own tactics, while also looking out for who else is in the fucking room, while also being on your own toes, making sure nobody's, following you on your ass, trying to give you the slip. You know what I mean? Like, it's shit like that is part of the reason why he works alone, because it's too much to do all at one time. It's not that he can't do it, it's just that who the fuck wants to multitask while you're in a stealth mission? You know what I'm saying? Or in a prep scenario. I'm not saying like, I mean, I guess it's prep, but at the same time, like I said, it's approaching the situation. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's it's what is it? Overwhelming to be doing that, all of that at the same time, and try and pulling that off flawlessly. I mean, he can do it, and you can write it to where it's like that. But then it's like you take the mystique out of the character. I mean, not the mystique, but you just you take you take that aspect out of the character a little bit, chunk by chunk, as you do that. And it's not a bad thing, but it's just it's something to look out for. You can't do that, but then like in the next scene or after that scenario, he's back to working by himself because it's clear that he can go work with other people, that he's willing to work with other people. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's like there's so many examples on why he's worked alone. He always prefers to work alone. The way I see it, I feel like he doesn't want to get nobody else hurt. And I think part of that has to do with Jason Todd, obviously, because Jason Todd, Robin, he had his own mission. Batman told him don't do it, but Jason didn't listen. Batman taught Jason everything that he knows. Batman feels responsible for him. You know what I mean? And he doesn't want that happening to Richard Grayson, Dick Grayson. Doesn't want that happening to Tim. Barbara, Jim. He doesn't want that happening to nobody because of the simple fact that like that type of guilt, that type of burden is not something that anybody wants to carry. He already carries the weight of his parents' death on him. So putting Jason on top of that is just insult to injury. You know what I mean? And that's why like I feel like he tries to keep things perfect even though that he can't. And that's why I like him so much, because he he tries so hard. Like he knows that like shit's not going to be perfect, shit's not going to be great, but like he tries in his own way. He tries, and it's clear that it doesn't work at all. Like a lot of these stories prove the point that he needs help in some cases. You know what I mean? Like I'll say it like this: even though he stopped everybody in Arkham Knight, he wouldn't have done it without at least Alfred. He would have never been able to do that by himself. Now, I think this is 10-year Batman, 15-year Batman. All right, we can argue that, but I think this is, I think I would comfortably say the Arkham series Batman is probably 10 years. And if it is 15 years, then I mean, we got Alfred there because you got to have Alfred there. But like I said, if the canon point is 15 years, then it's like I personally feel like he would be able to do all that by himself. But 5, 10-year Batman would not be able to clear Arkham Knight by himself one night by himself. Mm-mm, not happening. And it's only because of the sheer amount of shit and fucking powers. Not even powers, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like so much shit that these villains is doing, and he's got to go through this. So he's just a mere man. I mean, he's not no mere man, but he's just a man. You know what I mean? Like he is Batman, but he's still a fucking man. And like it's just amazing that even though he had help, he still had to endure all this shit and take all this shit down in one fucking night. You know what I mean? But it's stories like this that kind of show you, yeah, Batman's a loner, but this is why he needs help when it comes to some cases, and that's why these people still bother him because it's like they could be calling him and he doesn't answer. That's worrying. He always answers just to be like, "Why are you bothering me?" Like he doesn't say that, but it's kind of like, "What do you want? What?" Like I'm busy. So like because I'm not saying like everybody asks this question. I feel like a lot of people who watch Batman, read Batman comics, after a while know that it's like, yeah, he's a loner, he's the loner type. But if you kind of like wondered if there was like a lore reason behind it, or behind the scenes reason, yes and no, and it's not really that big of a deal. Like I said, Batman was just always a loner in his time. Yeah, he crossed over with Superman, but it was like they were never a team. It was always, oh shit, it's good to see you, Superman. I've been hearing about your work from Gotham and Metropolis. Yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. It's never, hey, Clark, another day. Yeah, shit like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but they weren't friends, I guess. I guess that's the best way to put it. They weren't friends. They were more like colleagues, more like celebrities. Like when them two got together and you got a picture with those two together back then, it was probably worth buku bucks. Now it's kind of like, in the DC universe, it's common to see them together because they're a part of the Justice League. You see what I'm saying? But like 1930s, 1940s, and 50s, there was no Justice League. Justice League came out in 1963. See what I'm saying? So it was just for a while. It was, again, Batman and Superman, but it wasn't to the extent that, like, I would say, what, pre-crisis or something like that. You know, my whole point is that there is there really isn't no way in changing that loner type of Batman. I'm not saying that, this is my whole point in that video that somebody is doing. I'm not saying that at all, but it's like, you know, if somebody were to change that, they'd have to be careful on how they do that. You know what I mean? Like they can't just immediately, jump into him being this trusting or anything like that. Like, and what I mean by that is, do an origin story on him, and then him being just openly trusting. That's not how he is by any means of the measure. He only resembles trustworthiness when it comes to meeting the Justice League. But at the same time, he he gets skeptical after a while because it's like, what if something bad happens and nobody can stop us? Somebody's gonna be able to stop us, and that's where the contingency plans come in. That's where all that Tower of Babel shit happens, where he gets the fucking weaknesses of the Justice League members or the exploits, and he puts them in the back computer, all that shit. Like it, it's hard to explain, but it's not really. But it's pretty as simple as it gets. I guess I just wanted an excuse to make a video. Um, yeah, like I said, I mean, he is the loner type, but at the same time, it's like when the Justice League need him, they know to call him, and he'll be right there. That's the thing about it. I love how it'll be a group of superpowered motherfuckers, a group of superpowered niggas, and then when shit hits the fray, they got to call a man and a bat suit. That's it. That is all for tonight. The fuck do you think about that shit? Do you think he's good? Do you think he's better or fine as a loner, or do you think maybe DC should let him be a little bit more open to his team and to to his family, if you will? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like the only person he like remotely opened up to is Alfred, but I think that's just part of character. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that should be this should be constant to the character? I think it should. I'm not saying they should change it or they are. I was just, you know, I have an excuse to make a fucking video. Nothing too crazy. Anyways, I hope you have a good fucking night. Any support is appreciated. Uh did I forget anything? I don't know. Did you forget something? No. I don't know. I'm look, I see you in Gotham, right?